Hey guys, Todd here. Today we're going to install the Morimoto XB LED headlights on this 2019 and up body style Ram 1500. The tools I'll be using for this installation are an electric impact driver and a ratchet, a T20 and a T25 Torx bit, a 10mm and 8mm socket, and a fastener removal tool. Now make sure you're subscribed to our channel to keep up to date with our latest content. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is remove our radiator cover that comes off with 12 plastic pushpin fasteners. Make sure you don't break those because we will be reusing them. Okay, now to remove it, what we're going to do is we're going to lift up and push back and then pull it free from the corners and then lift it out of the way. Next, we have a plastic trim piece that needs to come off of the grill. That's held on by 8 bolts that we need to remove with a 10mm and then also 2 plastic push pins. So I'm going to do the plastic push pins first. All right, now we can go ahead and pull this off as well. Okay, so where we are right now is in our fender. This is the passenger side. Right here is a trim piece that runs underneath our headlight. This needs to come off. In order for this to come off, there's a couple of things that need to happen. First of all, these 2 bolts need to come out. Also, there is a bolt right up inside here that you can't see. In order to access that bolt, we also need to remove these 2 bolts so we can move the fender liner out of the way and gain access to that bolt. So we're going to take off these 4 bolts using an 8mm first. All right, now that those 4 bolts are out of the way, we can go ahead and pull the fender liner back from the fender. Okay, now this bolt is going to be really hard for you guys to see, but these 2 panels are actually held together by this bolt right here. We need to go ahead and pull that bolt out using a 10mm. All right, here it is. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to remove this trim piece. This can be a little bit tricky, so here are the steps. Number 1, this piece is actually kind of clipped into a spot right where that 10mm bolt came out. So what we need to do is we need to have a pry tool that kind of goes in and pries down as we pull out. So what that does is that pulls this part down to free up that so it can come out. Once that comes out, we can just go ahead and pull this the rest of the way out and then work our way to the front. Okay, we're going to get this pulled loose. Now, all of these clips come out very easily. The only two that are going to be stubborn are these two right here. So what we want to do is we want to try to keep that as straight as possible and then reach underneath here and pull straight out. Those clips, they may get a little split in them, but they are still going to be reusable. So go ahead and pull on that until it pops loose. There we go. And we set that to the side. Repeat the same on the opposite side. Okay, so we're going to need to remove the grill in order to gain access to remove the headlight. So at the bottom corner of the grill, we're going to have 3 bolts that need to come out. We're going to use a 10mm to pull those out. These 2 are going to be longer and this one's going to be shorter. We're going to set those to the side and repeat the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, now we just have 4 bolts left holding on the grill. That's these 4 right across here. And those are going to come out also with a 10mm. Okay, now to pull the grill off, what we need to do is lift up on these corner pieces, and then you can pull it right out. Okay, next on our headlights, what we're going to do is pull out this plastic push pin and then also remove this bolt using a 10mm. Okay, now the last piece of hardware holding our headlight assembly in place is this bolt right here. We're going to remove that with a 10mm, but make sure that you hold on to the headlight because you don't want it to fall out. Now we can go ahead and carefully swing our headlight out so we can disconnect the harnesses. Our first harness is going to be down here at the bottom. There's a little bit of tension on that. So at the very bottom of that harness, we're going to push in on a clip and pull it out. Then we can get to our second harness, which is all the way back here in the back. There's also on the bottom a little clip. Push in on that clip and pull that out. Our headlight is free. Let's go ahead and take it over to the table. Okay, so here is our factory headlight, and this is our aftermarket Morimoto headlight. What we need to do is we need to take first this bracket and move it over. We're going to use the same hardware from the factory. Now, you may have different hardware, but on this particular unit, we've got T20 Torx bolts that need to come out. So we're going to use the T20 and pull all 3 of those out. I'm going to go ahead and move this bracket. It's got some locators on there. So just line it up to the locator pins. And then put the exact same 3 screws back into place and tighten them down with that T20. Okay, now here I've got the factory headlight unit turned upside down. We've got 3 screws that need to come out from the bottom and 2 from the sides. So here's one of the side screws right here. We've got another one right over here. And then here are our 3 from the bottom. All of those are going to come out with a T25. All right, now the bracket is kind of held in place by some glides. We just slide it forward and it comes right off. Let's go ahead and move it over to our Morimoto headlight. Okay, now here's our Morimoto headlight. One thing I want to point out, we've got a couple of slides. These are going to line up to the locations where this slid off of. So we want to line that up first. Once that's lined up, then we can go ahead and put the factory hardware back into place. All right, now this first one that I'm doing, you want to make sure you kind of get it wedged in there, get it nice and straight before you put it into the threads, because you want the threads to line up, don't want to cross thread. All right, now we're going to go ahead and turn this over to its face to look at the back side of the housing. In here, we're going to notice one particular connector that I want to draw your attention to. Nothing else looks exactly like this. This is the connector that determines whether or not our turn signal is going to be sequential or if it's going to blink solid. So if it's connected like this and you hook everything up, it's going to blink solid. If you disconnect it and leave it disconnected when you hook everything up, it will blink sequential. We're going to go with sequential. So next, let's go ahead and run over to the truck and hook up the DRL cable. Okay, so here I am on the driver's side of the engine compartment. This is our battery. This is our fuse box right next to the battery. This that I have in my hand here is our DRL harness. So we've got part that goes to the fuse box. Then we've got two different connectors. One connector has two wires going to it. That's our driver's side connector, and this one only has one wire going to it. That's the passenger side connector. So we're going to set that to the side for right now. We're only going to focus on the part going into the fuse panel. So what we're going to do is lift up the fuse panel cover, set that to the side, and then inside our fuse panel we're going to go to our number 38 fuse. Now it's kind of inside all these relays. It's right on top of a 5 amp fuse. It's a 10 amp fuse that we're looking at. All right, so we're going to take our tool, reach in there, pull the fuse. We've got the 10 amp fuse we've pulled out of the way. Now we are going to take our fuse spade and plug it in to that 10 amp spot. We can route this out and then set our cover over top and lock that down. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and route our connectors. This one again is going to go to the driver's side, and this one we're going to route to the passenger side. Okay, so here's the back side of our new headlight unit. We've got a lot of wires coming out of here, but the main thing you want to focus on is this one main harness. You've got all three connectors coming off of that. I've already attached some or applied some dielectric grease to all the connectors. I've also gone ahead, and here's where our DRL is coming out. I've got that zip tied into place. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that now. That clips in here. We've got this main harness here that clips together like so. And this one is going to come up here for our signals. All right, now make sure you hold on to all your wires so that nothing gets pinched, and then slide your headlight unit into place. Okay, so I'm going to start by reinstalling the plastic fastener first. This is the one that came out when we uninstalled the headlight. And I'm going to go ahead and place this in. I'm not going to tighten this down just yet. I'm going to get this one and the one on the bottom lined up first before I tighten anything up. Okay, now that we've got everything lined up, we're going to go ahead and tighten these two bolts down. Factory hardware using a 10 millimeter. All right, now just repeat the same process for the headlight on the driver's side. Okay, now that we've got our headlights in place, we're going to go ahead and test those, make sure that they work. Also make sure your blinkers work the way you want them to work, whether it's sequential or solid. Then make sure that your DRL cable is fastened out of the way. I've got ours coming right across here and secured with some zip ties. Then we can put everything back on in opposite order of how it came off. Well, that concludes the installation. If you found this video helpful, make sure and give us a thumbs up. If you want to know more about the product, check the link in the description below. And as always, if you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online at RealTruck.com.